listening to Coffee and Conversation with Recovery Advocate Network, the nonprofit organization that strives to address the staggering disparity in resource availability for individuals suffering from mental health disorders, processing disorders, addictions, trauma healing, and sexual identity challenges. Together, we strive to end the stigma associated with these challenges so that true healing can begin. Welcome back to Coffee and Conversations Between the Lines Blog Club series. This is episode number 32, and I, Ange, will read Shayne's latest blog. Is there a Hallmark card for that? In this episode, Shayne shares their thoughts on what to say and not say to someone dealing with mental health struggles. Between the Lines episodes are written by guests who prefer to use their written voice instead of their interview voice to share their stories. Each author has submitted a blog, and then a Between the Lines team member will record the blog for them to publish. As a reminder, the views expressed in any blog are the author's views, and the purpose is to provide a safe place for the author's voice to be heard. So, what are we waiting for? Fill up your coffee, sit back, and let's get started. Is there a Hallmark card for that? I guess I'm kind of old-fashioned, and admitting this makes me feel very old, but I love to send and give cards to people. There are lots of options for card themes and occasions out there. The classics are your birthdays, anniversaries, and weddings. And then, of course, the holidays: Christmas, Easter, 4th of July, Hanukkah, Veterans Day. There are thank you cards, get well cards, sympathy cards. There are a lot of cards, and I love sending them. But when it comes to sending a card to someone struggling with their mental health, sometimes it's very hard for me to find the right one. A get well card sometimes fits. Sometimes I can find a recovery card here or there. It seems like maybe the card writers just don't know what to say to someone struggling with mental illness. But it's not just them. Many of us, myself included, sometimes struggle to know what to say or what to do when someone we know and love is struggling. I certainly don't have all the answers to this one, friends. There isn't a one-size-fits-all catchphrase, but I can share a few things I've wanted to hear along the way, and things I wish I hadn't heard. Maybe they will just help you get your own inspiration for how you can approach, encourage, and support your loved one. What I didn't need to hear: you or we will not let this happen again. Okay, this one has been said to me when I've been hospitalized for suicidal ideation. I can see where the statement could come from a good place. No one wants someone they love to struggle with those kinds of thoughts and that kind of pain. It is painful for everyone involved, not just the person hospitalized. And we need to do everything we can to help someone get the help and support they need so they won't be in such a dark place again. But at the same time, this statement just made me feel guilt, shame, and pressure. What if I couldn't pull it together? Well, the truth is, I did let it happen again. I was hospitalized again. And again. And every time I wondered, is this the time I'll be abandoned? Is this the time they'll realize I'm not worth sticking around for? Is this the time that they will have had enough of the spillover of my pain and decide I'm a lost cause? What I would have wanted to hear instead is, we aren't ever going to give up on you. I have come to accept that for me, the struggle with mental health will always be a part of my life. I work hard to stay stable, using my coping skills. I take my meds, I go to therapy, I do all of the things But even when I do all those things, sometimes I just still struggle. This phrase is more helpful for me. It reminds me that no matter how many bad days, anxiety attacks, depressive episodes, or even hospitalizations I have, my loved ones will be there for me. Always. Also, even if you think your loved ones know this, reminders always help. When the darkness is there, sometimes it's easy to question everything and start to worry about losing the support of a loved one. So even if you think they know, please still remind them. You need to remind them. Okay, what I didn't need to hear is everything happens for a reason. This phrase has been repeated to me so many times, I could have lost count. Okay, let's go back. When I was in high school, I came from a very religious background, and it seemed to be a catchphrase to say whenever someone was going through something that was hard or that someone didn't have an easy answer for. I've learned to shrug it off most of the time. I think people who say it to me truly believe there is a reason for everything, and maybe there is. But in the moment, in the hard, it does not help. It hurts. Because I can't see the reason. Even on the good days, the so-named reason is elusive to me. Maybe this phrase helps the person who says it feel better, but it has never made me feel comforted, never made me feel supported in my pain. It makes me feel like I'm missing something, like I'm even more alone. Okay, so what would I have wanted to hear instead? I don't know why you're going through this, but it doesn't mean you are weak or damaged goods. For me, there isn't an easy answer to my struggles. It's not as simple as brain chemistry. It's not as simple as trauma. It's not as simple as hormones. There isn't one simple explanation. And for most people I've met with mental illness, it isn't one thing. So, for someone to recognize that it's complicated, that it doesn't always make sense, and that I'm no less valuable because my struggles aren't easy or quick to be solved, that helps. I might never get a simple answer to solve the puzzle, but with people who care to stand by my side and support me, that's what helps. Okay, back to what I didn't need to hear. I know how you're feeling. Ugh, this makes me a little angry. Okay, a lot angry. Again, this phrase may make the speaker feel like they're helping, but it really just made me feel like I should stop talking, stop sharing, and go with whatever the other person was assuming I should be feeling. What I would have wanted to hear instead is, I want to be here for you and help however I can. Can you explain to me how you're feeling and what I can do to help? This is one of the best things that can be said to me when I'm struggling. It shows me that the person is willing to listen. It shows me that they want to understand what is happening from my point of view. A person who says this demonstrates that they know that the struggle, the feelings, the pain I am facing is unique to me. They can't just ask the doctor for a label and know what I'm going through. And then the second part, what can I do to help? Words are so important. They're important to me, but actions speak volumes. But what sort of actions can a loved one take to support someone who is struggling with their mental health? That, my friend, is a whole new topic, and I'd love to share my ideas for that too. So look for a future episode about what to do to support a loved one struggling with their mental health. Do know this. Whatever you say in these situations, two things have been the most important to me. One, words of unconditional support. Try starting with, I'm not going to give up on you. I've been left behind by friends throughout my journey of recovery and relapse. I don't know what their reasons were. Maybe they were overwhelmed. Maybe they were struggling themselves. Maybe they too didn't know what to say. Losing connections and communication with friends or loved ones because of your own mental health, it hurts. Like, really hurts. So, whenever we can, we need to remind people that we love and care for them when they're doing really well and when they're struggling. We need to remind them that we won't leave them. Okay, the second thing is active listening. Try listening to what the individual describes and ask gentle follow-up questions to show you want to understand. But here's a key. Remember not to be pushy. Part of my healing over the years has been the room to share with my experience with mental illness and what it looks like and feels like. Yes, I can do that in therapy, but it's even more healing when I can do it with my people in my everyday life. So, when someone doesn't assume what I'm feeling, I feel supported. When someone isn't afraid to hear the hard parts, I feel supported. When someone asks gentle follow-up questions because they want to truly understand what I'm expressing, I feel supported. So remember this, even when you don't know what to say, listening always helps. Finally, a few other things that I've heard that are very unhelpful to say, but that I won't go over in detail here. 1, but it could have been worse, or any statement or suggestion of this kind. Remember, everyone's trauma is valid. 2, if you just tried this, that, or the other. Okay, sometimes suggestions do help, but sometimes they're just overwhelming and shaming. 3, let it go. Okay, this hurts. For me, this phrase seems like someone is telling me that I'm trying to be in pain or have this mental illness on purpose. Number 4, you can do this without medication. You're so strong. There are so many things wrong with this one. A, sometimes people do need medication, and an untrained individual has no right to advise about this. And B, taking medication does not make someone weak. Okay, if you love someone who's struggling with their mental health, remember, be kind and be gentle. Thanks for listening to this one, and look for a future piece by me, Shayne, and some things that you as a loved one can do to support someone through their mental health battle. You just listened to episode number 32. The 4th in our Between the Lines series, entitled, Is There a Hallmark Card for That? By Shayne. We hope you have been encouraged and learned something new from today's story. Look for another reflection by Shayne about invisible disabilities coming soon. These episodes are written by guests who prefer to use their written voice instead of their interview voice to share their stories. As a reminder, the views expressed in any blog are the author's views, and the purpose is to provide a safe place for the author's voice to be heard. If you want to share your experiences or expertise, we encourage you to be a future guest by emailing us at podcast@recoveryadvocatenetwork.org or submit a blog post by emailing blog@recoveryadvocatenetwork.org. We also encourage you to comment on the episode so that we can continue to provide content that is most beneficial to the community. We are proud that every individual working with RAN does so on a 100% volunteer basis. So please remember to subscribe to our podcast, give us 5 stars, share it with your friends, and make sure that you include everyone around you. You never know who might need to hear one of these stories today. We hope you will also connect with us at www.recoveryadvocatenetwork.org, where you can donate to the mission, read blog posts, and stay in the loop about upcoming events. Make sure you follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Recovery Advocate Network and on Twitter or X at Ran to Wellness. So listeners, pause what you're doing right now and subscribe, follow us, give us that rating, and send us off to your friends. If this episode was triggering to you, we encourage you to contact your support system, therapist, national and community support groups, the Global Crisis Text Line by texting 741-741, and or, if you're in the United States, dialing 988 to reach the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. If you're also in the U.S. and you need additional resources, such as shelter, support group resources, transportation, food, and a safe, confidential place out of physical or emotional domestic abuse, call 211 or visit www.211info.org for assistance. Now we know you're super busy, And we're really grateful you said yes to listening to another episode of Coffee and Conversation with us. So until next time, sit back, relax, and back to your coffee.